And it's another episode of Essential Dynamics, starring Reed McCollum, featuring Reed McCollum. I'm your host, Reed McCollum, and I'm here with the Essential Dynamics creator and thought provider, Mr. Derek Hudson. Are you there, Derek?
Hi, Reed. I'm here. Just one of me, not like there's three of you, but I'm here. Excited about our guest and the topic.
Yes, I'm having a good time today. I really appreciate your including me on this. Our guest today is my good friend and Derek's first cousin, John Hudson, who is the artistic director of the Shadow Theatre Group, which is here in Edmonton. It works out of the Varscona Theatre in the Strathcona area, just ahead of around White Avenue, just 83rd Avenue, I think we're on. And John, are you there? You're welcome.
I am. Check.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad. Derek, what would you, we've been talking to John earlier on a previous podcast and got his history and everything, but I think we want to know more about how theater is going to survive, and John's got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, let me set it up a little bit, Reed, so that we can be true to our purpose of sharing the principles of essential dynamics. So in essential dynamics, we do talk about the quest, which I think is super cool, talking to theater people, and the fact that we have to do that in the face of opposing forces. And one of the things that we face on the path or this journey is opposing forces, that things that are propelling us forward and things that are holding us back. I call those drivers and constraints. And then the other thing that's interesting is it's the people who take the journey. And the interesting conflict that I see with people is the difference between an individual kind of being true to themselves and an individual belonging to or conforming to a group. And the flip side is that is what the group needs from an individual, say in a company, and what the people need. And so all of that, I think, is at play when we talk about, let's just talk very specifically about Shadow Theatre. What are your plans for getting people back in the seats, putting the productions on the stage, and what's driving you forward and what's holding you back? Like, go.
Yeah, those are great questions. Oh, boy, that's a big topic. Well, right now, so, we talked in the first episode, Derek, about just about treating our customers right and building those kind of relationships that were going to be long lasting. And we've had subscribers, I mentioned that when we first started off, we had 30 subscribers. Well, I bet 10 of them are still with us, right? So,
wow.
And so we've got people who've been with us for a long, long time. And when we had to shut down, so we were in the middle of the season. We had just opened a show, and then the whole world shut down. We still had a lot of customers who had purchased tickets for the show that we had shut down, and then the one that was going to come after, which was
brilliant. It was a brilliant show.
It was actually Reed's play. So what we did, we reached out to everybody. We just say, well, what would you like to do? We can offer you a refund. We can give you a tax receipt for the value of those tickets, or we can defer them. And you'd be amazed at how many people just deferred their tickets to when we started producing again. So we have a lot of people we bank that money and set it aside. And so we're now kind of activating again and letting all those people know, hey, this is, we're back up and going again in January. And, all those tickets are valid. We want to see you. And then, as I said in the other episode, we had, people who just said, oh, well, I have those two, but I'm going to buy another set of subscriptions. And then, you give me a couple more comps on that. So we've been really just trying to be as flexible as we can with everything, because we really just want people to get comfortable coming back again. We have put out a COVID protocols for our audience. They have to be double vaxxed, or they have to show proof of a negative test within the last 72 hours. Everyone will be masked in the theater, and we'll wait down all surfaces and everything between shows, and we're only going to operate at 60% capacity for this first year. So
that's the tricky part, as you know.
Yeah, that's the tricky part.
My accountant's mind looks at that and says that 60% in is 40% lost potential.
Yeah.
Now you're prepared to operate it that way? Yeah.
Well, we are. And, we were very frugal through the pandemic, and we came out the other side with a fair amount in the black. So we banked all that money knowing that we'd be in this situation, coming out the other side of the pandemic. And frankly, we're hopeful that the federal government has been talking about offering a house subsidy, so they would top up the other 40%.
At what point
we're hopeful that will go through.
Hey, that sounds like a great idea, because if the alternative was to have 40% of those seats filled with politicians, you'd rather just take the money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, we'll see if that comes to pass, but we know that the arts is a big part of their initial planning. So we're hopeful that will happen and that they'll move forward with that. So
now I want to jump in here, and I want to point out that, Broadway's back, but it's not nearly at capacity, either in number of houses showing a play or a musical, and attendance. And it's a risk on New York's part that they would have the tourism to support Broadway in its previous capacities, and it was doing so well before COVID. It was
the number one tourist attraction in America.
Yeah, absolutely. It was doing so well, and yet now it is somewhat threatened, because shows have to learn how to deal and how to survive on houses on 70% houses. Now they're not restricting the houses at all, but a 70% house now in Broadway parlance is considered a win. They think they can make a profit on that. Now, subscription sales across the country in U.S. and Canada seem to be down. How do we bring them back up to pre-COVID levels?
I think we have to just get people back in the theater to see that it's safe, that they will feel safe coming in and
sitting shoulder to shoulder.
Well, and that's the 60% capacity thing initially, right? Is that our theater is big enough that you can spread out, and you don't have to sit shoulder to shoulder. You can have a little room, and I think people initially find that comforting, and then we can move. This is just what Shadow's doing too. So
we should explain.
The Citadel is going
right.
The Citadel's going to 100% capacity with Christmas Carol this December.
Oh, is it?
So yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay, I didn't know that.
They're just going right ahead. But what we did was we made a commitment to our subscribers, because the thing about theater goers there too is it's generally a plus 40 crowd, right? So we just want to be solid with them and say, this is what we're doing. We're going to stick with that for the full season. So you can be confident that this is what we're doing. We're not going to change the rules on you halfway through or anything. We're going to say, here's our rules until the end of the 2022 season. And then we'll reassess, and we'll go forward together, and we'll get your feedback and see how everybody felt. So
we should explain for our listeners who may not be in local for that here in Edmonton, Shadow Theatre is in the Strathcona area. Citadel is downtown. The Citadel has been experienced for some time, and it has two around 700 seats theater, and then one cabaret space with variable seating, which I think averages around 140, 160. Yeah. And then the Varscona, the new Varscona, holds about 200-ish.
Yeah, 204.
Yeah, and it would be at 60% capacity. Then we're only letting in
120 people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, John, I just love this customer focus.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it from a business point of view, which I totally get. want to flip it around for a second. What do you have to offer people as they emerge from their cocoons? Like what's the experience? And maybe I'm thinking more about the story and the productions that you put on, but is there a experience that people need, or is there something that's going to change in the market because, people need something?
Well, you know what? That's a great question, Derek. We're a theater. My mandate is to do theater that hits your heart and opens your mind. That's what it's always been. And we're not going to stray from that, because that's why people come to us. They're coming to see stories that are going to be enlightening and engaging. And those could be comedies, dramas, musicals, whatever. But I want to do plays that say something, that matter. And I think there's a craving for that right now. I think people are looking for something that is substantial, that speaks to them in some way about our shared journey here on this planet. So,
hey, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're on the same quest then.
Yeah.
But theater is a more established way of presenting it. So let me ask another question, and that is, does it matter to have that experience with other people?
Yeah, I think it does. It is a shared communal experience, the theater. And one thing you may not know, but it's quite an interesting thing. As a production starts, as the lights go down and the house comes up, the audience's heartbeats start to synchronize. So all of the heartbeats start to happen at the same time. So that tells us that we need to be there together, that we're there sharing this moment, which is unique to all of us at this very time. And I think that's really what the magic, it's one thing watching Succession in your basement by yourself with a beer, and it just doesn't quite have the same sparkle to it.
Well, and we've done a lot of watching in our basements for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
It's getting old.
Yeah. And there's nothing like live, like it's a communal experience, both for the actors and the audience, right? The audience informs so much about what's happening in the performance on any given night, right? It's a real give and take, and that's what's so exciting. It really is. So, yeah.
I really admire, John, you said in the previous podcast that you had a personal goal of you're only allowed one failure every 5 years. Is that am I quoting you correctly on that?
Yeah, that's right.
One every 5 years. My goodness. When I was an artistic director, I remember once being at the border, the US-Canada border, and being asked if I had ever produced a bomb. And I thought, well, I thought he was talking about theater. And I said, of course I have.
Yeah.
But to get one in 5 years, I would have, I really admire that. And I have to say, in the years that I have seen you produce, that's pretty good. You're on track for what you want to do. But there is a difference between trying to entertain 200 thoughtful people and even 700 for the Citadel. Your theatrical vision has to be different for the number of people in the audience and what they want.
Well, yeah. And when you have to they need to be more commercial than I do.
Well, yeah.
It's just as simple as that. I can take more risks with my programming than they can. And I'm really lucky. And my audience is really game for that, right? They're interested in that and they want to come down that path with us. So, yeah.
So John, I have another question. One of the things I've learned as I've explored the concepts associated with essential dynamics is it's not just that opposition is there to be overcome. It's that we do better. We come out of it stronger. And we can't grow without, some resistance. So what good is going to come out of the challenges of the past year and a half, either for yourself or the theater or the community?
Yeah, that's a great question, Derek. And I think really that's happened through what's happened in our society over this last 18 months, right? We've had Black Lives Matter happen. There's been more understanding of a need for inclusion and diversity. And we're taking that to heart in the theater. And we're looking for plays that where we can incorporate more of that and be a more inclusive and welcoming space. So, when those challenges presented themselves, we thought we have to meet them in kind of an open-hearted way. Yeah.
And so we'll see that in
right away
in both the productions and the players and the audience and everything.
Yeah. Our first show is called The Mountaintop. It's a very well-known American play. It's played all over the world, but it's about Martin Luther King Jr.'s last night on Earth in the Memphis hotel room. And two terrific actors of color going to be on our stage to bring that off, and we're really excited about it. Yeah.
And that's in January.
That's in January. Yeah, get a little plug in there.
Oh, no, for sure.
And tickets on our website.
Boy, I hope we have other plays there too. I'm looking forward to The Mountaintop, but are there any Reed McCollum plays? He's great.
We'll see a Reed McCollum play in October of 2022.
Get your tickets now.
Yeah.
Let's just put that one out there. What's the title, Reed?
The Wrong People Have Money.
And isn't that an interesting topic?
Yeah, it's a really delightful play. Reed and I've been working on how many years now, Reed? It's been a long time.
It's been 105 on my part.
Yeah, about 105 years. It was supposed to go up during the pandemic, but the nice thing was that we got the pandemic, we can't do it, so we took a little more time to do some more work on it. And I think that's been really useful, eh, Reed?
Oh, I'm very happy with it now.
So I watched the reading.
Oh, did you? Oh, great.
You guys held. That's when we first met John. It's just I was just yelling at my TV.
Yeah.
What's going to be different with a live production? Like, how much better will it be than what I experienced?
Do you want to answer that, Reed?
Yeah, I think you'll be more connected. I think you'll find yourself more involved in the story, and there will be a slightly different ending. But that's because somebody's asked me to include a ballet of water buffalo. So, it's just part of it. Comes organically from the plot.
It's one of these improv games that you guys play.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we have actually. I think it's going to be more engaging. Like it's a Zoom reading like that is fun, and it gives the audience a little kind of sneak peek, but it's not the same thing as seeing a full blown production. So, yeah.
Oh, well, I think John, you're on a mission. Really appreciate it. So I think, and we just have a few minutes left, but what I'd like to do is maybe get your advice. People, path, and purpose, drivers and constraints, opposition, conflict, personal growth. What have you learned in all that?
That's a lot.
What advice does the player and the director in you have for people when they're trying to apply that thing, which, you can script and play out on a stage? What advice do you have for people in their own lives dealing with these very few factors really that kind of pattern our lives?
Well, I think the number one thing is be true to yourself, right? Understand who you are and what you have to offer and be passionate about that. And don't listen to the naysayers. There's always going to be people who tell you can't do that, you can't do that. It's just like, yeah, I can do that. I said early on, you have to be stubborn. You really do. You have to be stubborn. You have to keep going. And even when things don't go your way, you have to just say, okay, what can we learn from that? How can we move forward and keep going and get better? Because this is the one thing that I kind of have a little mantras in my own life. What did I learn today? Just something, could be anything. How did I expand my knowledge? Did I meet the day with positivity and an open heart? And you're not always successful with that, but you try to do that. Was I honest in all my dealings? Because I think that's a fundamental thing. You have to be honest with everybody. And did we do our best? Right?
Wow. So,
Yeah.
John, you mentioned, I think last time, that mentors were a big part of your journey. I can only imagine how many people would automatically go to the name John Hudson as their mentor, and maybe some of which you don't even know about. Is that right, Reed? Would that be fair
Absolutely.
to say?
I am a better writer and a better actor for knowing John. And I was really good before I met him. So that's...
Oh, that's awesome.
Very kind of me to say, Reed. Well, and I'll tell you something actually that we're doing, which is really fun, is we actually have started a artistic director mentorship program here at the theater, and we're training over the next few years. We're training 3 young women in the art of leadership in the arts community. So,
Well, fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had scads of time because I so enjoy you, John. Thank you very much for
Ray.
joining us today and
My
making
pleasure.
Essential Dynamics real in a very practical way. I'm grateful to both you and Derek, to all my Hudsons, to teach me and guide and be my mentors. John, if somebody needs to get hold of you or wants to talk more about theater and the business thereof, where would they go?
Yeah, they can email me at director@shadowtheater.org. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, and theater is RE, right?
That's just the way you're supposed to spell it.
Derek, if people want to get hold of you about Essential Dynamics, where do they go?
DerekHudson.ca, and that Derek is with 1 R, and that's how you're supposed to spell it. Even though that's not how my parents spelled it on my birth certificate.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's hilarious.
We fixed that up later when I taught them how to spell my name.
Oh, good.
As a pretty cheeky 6-year-old, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah, that's great. Well, for Bryn Griffiths in the studio, Derek Hudson is my guru here and also my mentor and teacher here in Essential Dynamics. John Hudson was our special guest. I'm Reed McCollum, your very handsome host. And until next time, please consider your quest